This is a Project Humanoid production. Whammo.
From Project Humanoid, this is Murder My Dude. I'm VP Burke.
And today I'm Jackson Wells.
And welcome to our show. Whether it's your first time, whether it's
not.
your
I've been here for
102nd time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been here every episode. I've been here every episode.
Yeah.
I'm sure there might be a listener or two that's been out there for every episode.
Okay.
At least one, I think. Maybe two. Yeah, welcome. And it's time for your now twice every other week dose of true crime. Bi-weekly dose of true crime and comedy goodness. Murder My Dude. If you haven't yet, we would love a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this fine podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast,
Plum Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You can't think of any more fruit?
Steve's Podcast Emporium.
Okay. I've been there.
That's a relatively new one.
Yeah.
Wherever fine podcasts are sold.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on social media at Murder My Dude on Twitter, at Murder My Dude on Instagram,
at
Podcast My Dude on Facebook.
We're there.
You can reach out to us at murdermydude@gmail.com.
Yep.
And hey, we actually got the plugs in early this week. We never do that.
Which is funny is because I was going to do that.
Oh, okay.
I literally, that's what I was good, but then you start doing it, so
I took the initiative.
What am I going to do? Say, hey, you stop, I do. you stop, I do. I'm not going to do that.
You could phrase it a little better.
Okay, I'll try.
And then in the weeks where you're not listening to Murder My Dude, you should be listening to Podantic.
Podantic.
Our new show.
We should say it like that.
Podantic.
Podantic.
Well, especially next week, because we're coming in the St. Patrick's, you can say with a little bit of an Irish... Podantic.
Potatoes.
So this is how long...
No, which is funny is because obviously we're doing that to be like doing a bad accent.
Yeah.
Intentionally. I do the best Irish. Well, I was born in Ireland, so.
Yes.
I'm raised there.
Mm-hmm.
You too.
Yes.
Tipperary.
It's a long way there.
Yeah.
It's a long way to Tipperary.
Yeah. And it's a long road there, and it's a rocky road to Dublin.
Yeah. Is that where your people are from? Dublin?
So.
Mm-hmm.
If you go by the DNA, no.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Roscommon actually is where I'm really from.
Yeah.
I do have family in Dublin, County Mayo, Roscommon. They're all over Ireland, but
I have people from other places too, but like Tipperary, that's where my great grandmother was actually born in Ireland.
Kate.
Yeah. She was
great grandma Kate. Always heard about her.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she died before I was born, but I always heard about her too.
I met her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You were a baby.
In Tipperary.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. She was a baby.
Yeah.
She came to the United States when she was 2 years old.
Time travel homes.
In the late 1800s. One of my favorite things ever at a protest, like there's certain like pictures from protests that I think are really funny. One was a guy with a sign that says, "I'm so angry I made a sign."
Yeah.
I love that one.
That was very good.
And there's this guy with a sign, it's like, "What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it? It's irrelevant."
Very good.
It's a very good sign. It's a very, very good sign. But yeah, my great grandmother, Catherine, Kate as everybody would call her, she came over from Tipperary.
Yep.
In the late 1800s, I believe.
My great grandmother's name,
mm-hmm.
Catherine.
Oh wow.
They called her
Katie.
Oh.
Yeah. They called my great grandmother Kate.
Right. They called mine Kate E.
We should be talking about this on the next episode in 2 weeks when it's this is how long this podcast has been going. It'll be our 3rd edition of Murder O Dude. Right.
And I keep forgetting that we're doing them bi-weekly now.
Mm-hmm. But the next episode will come out. It'll be recorded the day before St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
It'll be coming out the day after. Or if I feel like, I know you didn't want to do this, or if I feel like it, I might put it out the night of.
I like it
just
the way
to
it
be
goes.
crazy.
No, I like it the way it is.
And I think I already have the...
Look, we have thousands
Mhm.
and thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions
Right.
of people not listening to us.
That's
so
true.
that's so it's fine. What somebody gets it earlier on the, because if you're subscribed,
Yeah. Which you should be.
right?
Subscribe.
Do
As they always say on YouTube videos, like
and
comment, and subscribe.
yeah, and shake
And shake.
and rattle and roll.
And sweep the leg.
Right. They do say that
Mhm.
on a lot of the YouTube channels I follow,
Yeah.
which are Cobra Kai related.
They say sweep the leg.
Yeah,
And like, comment, subscribe.
sure, something like that. And they say, "Yes, Sensei," and stuff like that.
Hey.
Yeah. So, this week,
Mm-hmm.
in murder.
Well, that's very enthusiastic.
Brr, 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 brr.
This week in murder. What's our first story, Jackson Wells?
Oklahoma man kills 3. Tries to cannibalize neighbor. Good guy.
Not a good guy.
Oh.
Bad guy.
Bad guy.
Very bad guy.
All right.
Residents of Chickasha, Oklahoma.
Where?
Chickasha.
I like that it sounds like somebody like chicka chicka chicka. You know, like he's he's doing that whole like, record scratching.
Yeah. I think Chickasha is right next to.
Right, where? Okay. I've been there.
Yeah. I think that's where the Tiger King Zoo was. I know that was in Oklahoma. I think it was in.
Okay. Yeah. I was there with great grandma Kate
Oh, nice.
in Tipperary.
In Tipperary.
Yeah.
Great grandma Kate, like me,
Mhm.
like you,
Yeah.
was a big wrestling fan.
Okay.
Is one of those those old legendary grandmothers that loved wrestling.
Yeah.
That was her.
Wow.
That was my great grandmother, but yeah, she loved my grandmother did not like wrestling.
I often wondered. Wow, I should realize that.
She would watch wrestling with my dad a lot. She got along well with my dad.
I should get a little closer.
She was my mom's grandmother, but she got along very well with my dad.
Yeah. I often wondered like if I ever had anybody like that in my family.
But your dad was a wrestling fan.
No, I mean women.
Okay. Yeah, my dad.
Yeah,
was.
just growing up, it just seems like that wouldn't be something that women would like. Just because, like, when I went to high school, you got made fun of, like by women. You still do. If you're on a dating site,
Mhm.
these very progressive, like, let's not bully, let's not make fun of people.
Right.
Women will definitely make fun of you if you say you like wrestling.
Yeah.
These don't make fun of people. People will make fun of you.
They wrestling shame you.
They do. I have been.
They snapmare shame you.
I called it buckle shame.
Buckle shame.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Buckle shaming. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
Do you know what I like?
what's that?
Snacking.
You do like snacking.
I like to snack.
So I mean,
And we have that. But real quick before we get into this, because we should have talked about this before I jumped into This Week of Murder. Our new show, Pedantic. We actually have the snack of the day.
Yes.
It's not like an official snack of the day. It's what we're snacking on that day.
Right.
You should tune into it if you like history.
Mm-hmm.
If you like the etymology of words, idioms, just banter,
Yeah.
fun. If you like fun,
Yes.
come on over to Pedantic.
If you don't like fun, stay here on Murder, my dude. We'll talk about death and destruction and fun.
Could be fun to people that like doing it.
Yeah. If you like murder,
Let's not murder shame.
Yeah.
Don't murder shame.
That's true. I shouldn't murder shame. I hope that's going to change soon with the wrestling is like it's a guy thing, because a lot more women are in wrestling now, and women's wrestling is taken a lot more seriously. And just like before the whole COVID thing, from the other show I do that's not Pedantic and not this show, from Tornado Tag Podcast, I got a chance to really get involved with going to a lot of local wrestling shows and even being behind the scenes in a small handful of them. And it was always cool to see like a lot of the women's matches, and just to see like, because a lot of people would bring their kids to these local wrestling shows, and how when the women's match would come on, there'd be certain wrestlers where especially the little girls in the crowd would just go nuts for like certain wrestlers. Like so that's always fun, and hopefully that stays with them, and that's something that's there's more role models for them to kind of to look at until they turn heel, and it's like, they ruined everything. That has nothing to do with it. I think it's neither here nor there.
It's there.
It's there, yeah.
Oh, damn it. You're supposed to say where?
Where?
In Tipperary.
Oh.
With Grandma Kate. Aunt
Grandma Kate.
Aunt Grandma Kate. Yeah.
Yeah. Murder Old Dude, though. The first year we did it, it was the oh, how do they not remember the Molly Maguires? The Molly Maguires were Murder Old Dude 1, and then.
Well, I remembered them. I just I'm chewing. Sorry.
Yeah. And then last year we did the Shankle Butchers, which was a lot about the Troubles, and it was
that was a fun song.
I don't know what.
There's a song about the Shankle.
Oh, there is, isn't there?
Yeah, really good, really good.
That was one of those episodes I enjoyed preparing for because I didn't really know a whole lot about it, and it was like wow, there was a lot of stuff about them.
I'm not. I know I've been doing this for just what 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Not a huge fucking true crime fan. I'm not. I like, now don't get me wrong. I like mystery. I like murder mystery movies.
Right.
And so when we started this show, I thought we were going to like kind of focus on stuff like that.
Right.
I thought we were going to focus on like Halloween, like horror movies and murder mystery and like whodunits and, shit like that. But then it turned into a, what I hate. Not the show, but like the subject matter.
Right.
Just that the whole, like, because I'd rather talk about fictional death over real death all the time. But I realize that there's a better market for true crime than there is fake crime.
Yeah.
So if I use the hashtag true crime, we're going to get more traffic.
Yes.
Right? That's what's going to be hard about pushing pedantic.
Yeah.
Is that like...
It's a little more abstract. It doesn't really fit as tightly into a genre.
Definitely, because I don't exactly know, like I don't have a hashtag to use for it except history.
Yeah.
Or words.
Hashtag words.
Hashtag words. But the thing is that when I tell people about it, the feedback I've gotten is, oh, well, I like true crime.
Oh, like, boy, do I have the podcast for you.
Yeah, well, and I do, and I push it, but I'm like, history. So many people, dude, like on dating profiles, hate history. Oh. Hate it.
Is that who you're exclusively marketing to? People you're trying to date?
No, everybody.
Oh, okay.
But what I have this thing. It says, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate the importance of 1, Christmas, 2, bookstores, 3, history.
Wow, you have Christmas that low.
Huh?
A 1 for Christmas.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 10.
1,
Christmas.
2,
bookstores.
Right.
3, history. What's 4?
There is none.
Oh.
These are the 3 things that you have to rate.
Oh, you're not giving your numbers for them?
No.
Okay.
My numbers are all fucking 10s.
Okay.
Across the board. Maybe I should have put A, B, and C to fucking...
Yeah, there you go.
Because people have been getting confused by that. Like, people have been going like, well, it's in this order. History, then Christmas, and then like, or some people would be like, I fucking hate history.
Yeah.
Like this one girl, she was very attractive. And she was like, I hate Christmas, so 0. Bookstores, like, I don't go to them because you could just order books online or, like, get audiobooks. And then history, she was like, history sucks. I hate it. And I was like, good day, ma'am. And I blocked her because I'm a rational person and I have no reason to talk to them.
Right.
There's no reason. I'm on a dating site, right? If you don't like those 3 things, it's fine if you don't like one. I don't know which one that would be.
What if they like history, they like bookstores, but they hate Christmas?
Fuck you. You're done. Like, because that's the most important thing to me.
Okay.
I think the one that I could be okay with them not liking is history.
Okay.
Bookstores isn't, well, I don't know. Then again, because I like to go to bookstores. I like to go to Barnes & Noble and spend time there. So for the people that are like, well, I like to order books online. Well, what the fuck does that have to do with, like, I like to go to books or bookstores. It's funny.
Books.
I like to go to books, just to books in general. Because this one girl, she was like, I love bookstores. I love the smell. There's nothing better than the smell of, what did she say? She was like, there's nothing better than the smell of old books or like the subtleness of a man's cologne or something like that. And I'm like, huh, okay.
So basically what they're looking for is a stack of old magazines and a bottle of high karate.
I don't think. No, I don't think it was.
I don't think they have high karate anymore.
I'm sure you can find it. But I'm sure she wasn't like.
That was more aftershave, wasn't it? That wasn't cologne.
No, I think it was a cologne.
Oh, was it?
Doesn't matter. But still, I don't think she's talking about something musky.
Right.
Just the subtleness of a good, cologne. Yeah, but the girl who was like zeros, except for books, but books you can get. She said, she's like, I'm also not really a reader except for poetry.
I'm not the biggest poetry fan.
You're not. And it's weird. Can we get that light back on? Because I hate when it goes in this blue. It's already dark. People don't know this. You like it very dark. You like to sit back. I want to put you in a fucking like computer chair. Not yours. Because I sat there. I sit at your computer chair. Lately, I've been doing some work.
You do understand that there's only one light in this room, correct?
You can get lamps, dick face.
My electric bill's high enough.
You can get a lamp. You could get a bunch of those fucking push things for the dollar store all over. It's very dark in here, and then when the timer on the TV, whatever, when it goes to that blue screen, it fucking drives me crazy. I always wanted to get into Walt Whitman. And who did Tiger Burning Bright?
I don't know. Poetry is my weak spot when it comes to literature.
I can't think of it right now.
The only poet I really know of a lot like their work is E.E. Cummings, and it was like very absurdist and
right. Well,
and Robert Frost.
William Blake.
Okay,
I think that's who it was. Tiger. Yeah, Robert Frost. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, The Road Less Traveled.
Yeah, I had a quote from Robert Frost when my ex-girlfriend was doing the roller derby thing.
Oh,
it was something like. I forget exactly what the quote, but it was a Robert Frost quote.
When I was in, I think, 7th grade, we had these classes you would do like for a few weeks. They were like very short classes, almost what would be electives if you were in high school. Like you would do like 6 weeks of, I guess, home ec was one. I think we had to sew a pillow.
Yeah.
And one of them was communications.
Okay.
And one of the things they taught you in communications was they were trying to teach you memory. And they were teaching like public speaking and things like that. And we had to memorize a Robert Frost poem. And I still remember it to this day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Fire and Ice. Do you want me to?
Yes.
Okay. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of fate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. That's the poem.
I hate it.
Yeah, me too. Not a fan. I need a plot. I like a plot. I like characters. You don't get that in poetry. Like, I like poetry when it's a song. I like poetry with a beat. I like poetry with some guitars in it.
Yeah.
Like, that's poetry for me.
Tupac was a poet, and I like Tupac.
Yeah.
But I like that kind of poetry. I like poetry that rhymes.
Yes.
I like it. I like poetry that rhymes, and it's a fucking good rhyme.
Give me a nice limerick.
I like slam poetry, shit like that. Like that stuff is fucking interesting to me. Real quick, we have a neighbor.
Yes, we have several.
He does the one I'm talking about.
Right.
Do they all do podcasts?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It'd be weird if they did.
Right. Especially the one right next. Never mind. So, so anyway, he hosts a podcast, and he also he did a poetry workshop at a coffee shop that he was working at. And this is, I don't know, 2 years ago, maybe last year. No, wow, fuck.
It's been almost a year since anybody's done anything.
So it had to be 2019. It was
very early.
It was 2019. No, I think it was
either 2019 or early 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 2020 didn't exist almost. I mean, it did, but it fucking like it's now March, right?
Yes.
It's so strange. And it's around this time was the last time I was actually in that coffee shop.
Oh, wow.
It's been a year since I've been at that coffee shop.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
It is weird.
That's really weird. So anyway, he was hosting this poetry workshop. And we get there and we sit down And it's like, all right, well, you got like 10 minutes to write a poem or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, you going to tell us like what to do?
Do we have a prompt?
Because I don't know the different styles of poems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to write a fucking poem.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be explained. I had no idea. I should have said that, but instead I was just like, I just sat there and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write a poem, but I'm going to write a fucking rhyme. I wrote like rap.
Okay.
You know, like I just, and it was, I thought it was cool, like what I wrote, but
it was, my name is Jackson and I'm here to say.
It had nothing to do with 80s shit.
Oh, okay.
That's what you would write.
No.
Yes, you would.
I would not.
Yes, you fucking would. But I wrote it and then I listened to the other people and I could recognize poetry.
No, yeah.
I could recognize the cadence.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why there is a certain cadence to it, why it's said a certain way. We watched the Practical Jokers the other day, and I forget who was there. Was it Sal? Sal.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Wow, you had the worst fucking memory then. Because we only watched Impractical Jokers recently one fucking time.
Okay. I've watched it other times. I don't remember the exact thing you're talking about.
Poetry. We were talking about poetry.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There was the poetry class. Yeah.
Right. And so he's, I don't know, he writes a poem and other people are reciting and it's like, when you hear them, you hear that they're saying poetry, but their words mean fucking nothing to me.
Right. There's a certain beat, like so many syllables. Well, I know like certain things like haiku is very strict on that.
Right. Because he was like, it needs more words and it was like, it's a haiku.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, 575. There's a specific scheme for that.
Right. And that was the joke.
Right.
That was his joke. Like it needs more words.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when you hear it, you're like, oh, okay, poetry. But
I was really good at those though.
It's super fucking pretentious.
When I was young, I was very good at those. They called me King Haiku.
That you're lying.
Oh.
And you're talking about King Haku.
Oh.
And he was a wrestler.
Right. And then they called me Macho King.
No, now you're just you're doing a Simpsons joke now.
What?
They used to call me Kid.
They called me King Gorgeous.
See? You know the joke. That's why. Yeah. Now you're going to be like, oh, no, I didn't realize that's what I was doing.
I was just thinking of other people who were kings.
King Harley Race.
Yeah. King Duggan.
That's right. Everybody tries to forget about that one.
Yeah. It wasn't the best king.
Yeah. But anyway.
King Ralph.
Okay.
Oh.
So, I wasn't really a fan of that movie, to be honest.
Never watched it.
Oh.
I remember seeing I think I went to see something in the theaters. It might have been like Edward Scissorhands or something, and there was a trailer for King Ralph. The only thing I liked is he wore an Eagles hat.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny. Talking about murder.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched that scene on Murder Mystery, the Adam Sandler movie. Where they're at the train station or whatever.
Yeah, the guy just walks by with an Eagles hat.
With a fucking Eagles hat.
Yeah.
Because he's standing behind them. For a while, he's standing behind them. And then they do this other shot where you see the guy, like they're saying bye to the inspector dude or whatever. And you see the guy with the Eagles hat in back of them, and he's like basically like asking for directions or something.
Right.
Because if you pay attention to him, you see, and then when the shot transitions, all of a sudden it's a different shot, and now that guy's like he kind of like walks around them and gets in front of the camera, and it's like it seems like that was done intentionally.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, why did they put this guy with an Eagles hat there?
Yeah, it's very strange.
In a different fucking country. And,
yeah, it's supposed to be in France, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be, right. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, it was very odd.
Yeah.
It's a mystery to me. I think Reply
mystery.
All up. No, it was a hat mystery.
Oh, hat mystery. My favorite kind of mystery.
Yeah, that was Adam Sandler's next movie.
Hat mystery.
Hat mystery. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we got way off fucking Oklahoma, way off the trail.
Yeah.
Of tears. That was that in Oklahoma?
I don't know. That was over a lot of land. It was a lot of that area. Like,
well, I'm crying now. So let's get back to this Lawrence Paul Anderson story here.
Yes, resident
again. Just to this is the Oklahoma man kills three, tries to cannibalize neighbor. Story.
Yes, residents of Chickasha, Oklahoma, and surrounding communities are aghast and outraged following the arrest of a recently paroled repeat offending felon who was accused of the heinous killing of his neighbor. Lawrence Paul Anderson's rap sheet is considerable, And he directed movies, too. I think he directed, what was that? Boogie Nights and...
No, you're thinking of, fuck, I can't think of his name right now.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
That's
yes.
it.
Oh, what was that one movie he did? It was the one... Jeez. Oh, it's going to bother me now.
Okay. I'll just look
it was in the 90s. He's also married to Fiona Apple.
Remember we tried to start
since she was dead, yeah. Tried to start a death hoax. Oh, man.
Why don't you just get on with the story?
Yeah, Lawrence Paul Anderson's rap sheet is considerable. The 42-year-old served 2 years of a 4-year sentence starting in 2006.
Magnolia,
that's it, yeah. 4-year sentence starting in 2006 for attacking and pointing a gun at his then girlfriend, as well as possessing crack. Again, we're talking about Lawrence Paul Anderson, not Paul Thomas Anderson, who did none of these things. In 2012, Lawrence was sentenced to 15 years and served a little over 5 for selling crack near a Chickasha elementary school. Less than 5 months after being released on that offense, he was nabbed for possessing a gun, illegal because of his past convictions, after confronting and threatening a woman in her car at a church parking lot. So again, like, just this guy in and out of jail all the time. And as soon as he is out of jail, he's doing something soon to go back in. The charges were increased on that case where he threatened a woman in a church parking lot after PCP was found in Anderson's underwear. That offense was supposed to bring with it, because again, now we're talking about like his third major offense. So this is supposed to be the big one. He's going to go away for 20 years now. But not really. Not really. Instead of serving the full 20-year sentence, Lawrence was... I got them mixed up with the director guy. Lawrence.
You're all over the fucking
We're
place
having
today.
Technical difficulties, and it's irking me.
You are having technical difficulties.
Lawrence Paul Anderson, not Paul Thomas Anderson, was sentenced to 20 years, but he only served about 4, and he was released this past January. Last week, Lawrence confessed to a grisly triple murder where he broke into the home of a neighbor, 41-year-old Andrea Lynn Blankenship, busting open her back door by butting it with his shoulder. Lawrence killed Blankenship. And here's where it gets really bad. He killed Blankenship and cut her heart out, which he later cooked with potatoes and attempted to feed to his family to, quote, release the demons.
Well, I mean, at least he made it with potatoes.
I wonder what seasoning you use. When you're cooking a heart...
Adobo. Clearly, he's using...
Adobo?
Definitely using adobo. Yeah, a little bit of garlic and pepper. I mean, adobo has it in it anyway, but he put extra.
I don't really buy Goya products anymore.
Are you one of those people?
Well, no. Did you see what the Goya guy said at CPAC?
What?
Trump is still the rightful president.
Okay, well, who cares? Here's the thing.
I don't really buy... No, I really don't use adobo right now more because of the sodium than anything. Sure. I try to buy Mrs. Dash.
Sure. Here's the thing. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I can't do that. I won't buy that because if it's a good, like, I never liked what's his face personally. The painter of light. The fuck is Thomas Kincaid?
Thomas Kincaid?
Never liked him personally. He's a fucking religious whack job.
Mm-hmm.
But I would buy a Thomas Kincaid painting if it was between that or saving the last, starving children on child on Earth. If it was like, oh, you have this money, you could either buy a good fucking your favorite Kincaid painting or save this child's life, I would buy the painting because I love Thomas Kincaid's fucking work. Adobo is delicious. Like, yeah, you can mix your own shit.
Yeah.
I get it, but I mean, like, if you're in a pinch, you don't want to buy all the fucking shit. Like,
does Aldi have like a knockoff adobo that would?
Why not just fucking buy adobo?
Well, the sodium is the main thing for me now.
You can get salt free.
Can you? I know you can get the no pepper version. I've seen that.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that's what it is.
I know because it's like in the blue.
I actually just haven't bought adobo in a long time.
Yeah,
I used to cook with that all the time, but yeah, the sodium is just outrageous.
So anyway, Lawrence then attacked his family after trying to serve him a heart and potatoes, and we're assuming adobo. He attacked his family, killing his uncle Leon Pye.
Maybe he was progressive, and he was like, I will cook with anything else but adobo.
Yeah. Why do you have adobo in the house? I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah.
So he killed his uncle Leon Pye, who he had been staying with, injured his aunt, Delcy Pye, and he also killed Leon and Delcy's 4-year-old granddaughter.
Pumpkin Pie.
I don't think that was her name. Police heard a woman, presumably Delcy Pye, screaming and investigated the crime scene, finding the double murder at the Pye home. Anderson was reportedly throwing up into a pillow when he was found. Too much adobo.
Or too much mint. Now, what kind of pie did he make?
He didn't make a pie.
Oh.
He cooked a heart and potatoes.
Yeah, it could be a pie. It could be like
his aunt and uncle's last name is Pye, P-Y-E.
I get that, but it could be like a minced meat, like a minced pie.
Minced heart pie, a heart and potato pie?
Yeah, they make them.
With adobo?
Hey, dude, have you ever had,
I've never had a heart and potato
pot pie.
I have.
Okay, beef pot pie.
Never had that.
You never had what?
I don't think I have. I've heard of like mincemeat pie and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever had a beef pot pie.
The fuck you mean you've never had a beef pot pie?
I mean, I don't think I've ever had a beef pot pie.
How?
You know those things called beef pot pies? Yeah. I've never eaten one. That's
bullshit.
Oh, I have?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I fucking made them for what you. Yes, you have. What are you talking about?
I don't remember them.
The little fucking pot pies that you get.
Yeah, the ones that I always get were chicken, and I haven't had one of those in years.
You had a beef pot pie. I remember I would fucking get them at my mom's house.
Okay.
Your mom used to have them.
All right, sure.
You're being so weird. He's lying, by the way. He's definitely had beef fucking pot pies.
I may have. You pay closer attention to this than I do, I think.
Weird.
Charges are imminent.
No wonder this guy fucking because these assholes are probably like, I never had a beef pot pie. He's like, you're dead. I'm fucking eating you, bitch.
Charges are imminent, and Jason Hicks, the district attorney prosecuting the case, has said the death penalty is on the table, presumably next to the heart and potato.
Yeah, I was going to say next to them, yeah.
Could you pass the heart, please?
And the death penalty.
Next story.
Grieving widow of Hello?
We're having a little technical issue here.
Jesus
there we
go. Grieving widow. This is why we did a show. Now, we had 2 fucking weeks to prepare, and he couldn't get a goddamn mouse that works. Grieving a widow of murdered IT director.
No.
What?
IT.
The IT director.
Oh, no, that guy that directed the movie?
Yeah, and the TV show.
No, IT director.
Oh, you should have put periods.
I should have.
See, can you see how
Grieving widow of murdered IT director.
Can I talk?
Oh, go ahead.
Don't do that. Can you see how I would get confused?
Yes.
Okay. Grieving widow of murdered IT director. This is fucking way more boring than if it were the IT director.
Yeah.
Found to have exchanged texts with his killer.
Jennifer Lynn Faith, 48, is being charged with obstruction of justice after it was found that she was texting with her husband's killer at the same time that she was pleading for answers regarding his death on local news. James Jamie Faith was gunned down while walking his dog on October 9th, 2020, one day after the couple's 15th wedding anniversary. Jennifer was with him but wasn't hurt, and she gave this account to WFAA-TV in Dallas. Quote, "We walked out the door and we made it to the house right behind, and I heard running behind me, and I turned around and shooting just started. The guy kept shooting and shooting. A neighbor said they saw him attempt to shoot me, and the gun was empty. I was running up this driveway, and he tackled me, started beating on me, and taped my hands together." Jennifer Faith has since told police she was having a, quote, full-blown emotional affair with Jamie's accused murderer, Darren Lopez, 48, and currently living in Tennessee. Well, currently arrested, but before that, living in Tennessee. Lopez was arrested in January. It emerged later that Lopez and Jennifer had been high school and college sweethearts. They exchanged over 14,000 calls and text messages from late September to late October.
What's this, me? Jeez, this sounds like...
I don't think I've had 14... Well, besides...
All right, here's the thing.
My personal, job. I don't think I've made 14,000 calls or text messages in my life.
Right. Well, because you don't have relationships.
That's true.
You don't have anybody. Who do you talk to on the phone? Besides work? Seriously.
No, on the phone, never. I don't talk to anybody, really. I have, a few group chats.
Me.
Yeah.
No, me.
Yo, you personally, yeah.
And my son.
Yeah.
When he calls.
He'll call, talking to people on the phone, yeah, I don't...
Once a year, you'll talk to your Aunt Ron.
Twice.
Or twice a year. That's right, on their birthday and Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because fuck the other holidays. And,
hey, happy Groundhog Day.
Fuck, you should. You should. Hey, Aunt Ron, get an extra 3 weeks of calling you. And who else do you call?
Nope. I don't call.
Who else do you get? No, but
I'm in like group chats.
Okay, stop for a minute. Stop. See, this is what you just lied about the fucking pot pie, and now you're saying you don't talk to anybody. But then I'm going to give you the other things you talk. You've talked to Dave, my stepdad.
Okay.
All right. You talked to my mother.
Okay.
I'm sure
the veterinarian,
the vet.
Yeah.
And then your sister.
Rarely,
maybe once a year, right?
A few times a year, usually. Depends on how
really?
often. Yeah.
See, there you go. Now we're naming names. Now all of a sudden, give us 5 more fucking minutes. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, and then me and fucking Lucinda, we talk every day.
Oh, I love Lucinda. She's awesome.
Well,
we're making a sitcom about it. I love Lucinda.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I talk to people a lot. Actually not really. I used to talk a lot to like a lot of girls. Now it's like, if I really like somebody, I'll end up talking to them a lot, but I don't call people like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I used to constantly be calling people, and it's just not my thing anymore. But 14,000 calls and texts from September to October?
Yeah, it was like September 30th to October, and within like a 30-day span or a 31-day span, 14,000 calls and text messages.
I mean, I wonder if like I had to have sent 14,000 calls and text messages combined over the last 25 years.
Oh yeah, I'm sure maybe throughout my life I've made that many phone calls. I don't send a whole lot of texts. I'll do like group chats, like Twitter chats. And
how quick are these texts?
Sup?
So yeah,
nothing. You. Yeah. And it's just like every text is a different one.
Yeah.
Maybe they're exchanging memes quite a bit. You know, there's things you can do.
Right, and like waving emojis.
The audio files, like, what is this? 1994? Yeah. They're sending wave files.
Yeah, dot wave.
They're sending them the hamster dance.
Yeah. Numa guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the new Homestar Runner?
What? What are we doing here?
We're talking about the old internet. Anyway, so they sent each other 14,000 calls and text messages. I'm going to assume most of them were text messages. Would have had to have been really short calls.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. I'm like, the fucking time.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Okay.
Yeah, that's like hundreds a day.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. From late September to late October, first with Jennifer venting about marriage problems, and then them formulating a, quote, 5-year plan to get together. And then after Jamie's death, Jennifer complained about difficulty obtaining her life insurance payment, and she coached Lopez on how to avoid police.
Oh boy, this does not look good for her.
No, it doesn't. I think she did something bad here.
Huh. What do you think it was?
Well, I mean, I think they would charge her with murder. They're charging her with obstruction of justice. If she said, hey, kill my husband for me, I think they would have charged her with murder. But she may have been like venting, and like maybe she said something like, I wish you would just go away. And then this guy's like, oh, I know what to do. I'll kill him. Who knows? Because I think you would think, or at least I would hope, that if in these texts and calls, they can see the text, I don't think they can pull audio of the calls, that if she had said, hey, can you kill him, they would charge her with murder. If not, they're not doing a very good job. But, for example, of what she did after the murder...
What if she wrote something like, ugh, my husband, you know what I mean? Can you just please kill him, LOL? And then a dude goes and actually does it, and she's like, LOL!
Yeah. Yeah.
You fucking numbskull?
Yeah. That would be my defense. Like, look, I put LOL. LOL. If it says LOL, you must have quit.
Yeah.
So...
What the fuck do you think LOL means? I was joking. I didn't actually want to... Fuck, man.
For example, after witnesses had noticed a Texas Rangers decal on the shooter's truck as he made his getaway, Jennifer instructed Lopez to remove it. Juan Sanchez, Lopez's attorney, sent a statement to People magazine by email. Quote, we are in the preliminary stages and have yet to receive the discovery evidence necessary to formulate his defense. With that said, we believe Mr. Lopez to be a good man with a military background. That may
responsible gun owner.
We believe Mr. Lopez to be a good man with a military background that may have been manipulated by Jennifer Faith and caused him to act under some belief that she was in some kind of danger. Of course, this is just a theory of the case that is fluid and could change once you receive more information. So it seems like they're going to use this as part of his defense. And I wouldn't be surprised if, a few episodes from now, we're doing an update, and if there is a lot to this, that maybe she's going to get charged with murder too. There's 14,000 fucking calls and texts. They're going to have a lot to parse through. So that's it for this week in murder. At this point, we're going to take a very quick break, and then we'll be back with our feature story this week, where we're going to be talking about another murder, a crime of passion, and
Josephine Baker.
Lena Baker.
Oh.
And it's the story of the only woman in the history of Georgia to ever be executed by the electric chair. So sit tight, enjoy the commercials, and we will be right back. Ever hear someone say something wrong and you get the sudden, uncontrollable urge to correct them? No? Just us?
Of course you have! And if you want to listen to something fun, funny, and guaranteed to make you sound smarter than your dumb friends, check out Project Humanoid's Pedantic.
From one know-it-all to another, you'll thank us later.
Hi, this is Anthony from the IWEP Network. We're a collection of weekly podcasts that vary in all different types of topics. We can be found on all social media, as well as any podcast or music app that you may use, as well as YouTube. We go live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch every Friday and Sunday. Here's a lineup of our 5 shows that you may be interested in. Interviews with everyday people. Interviews and conversations on a positive note and just getting to know each other. Everyone has a story. Bangin' Beers podcast, beer reviews, hanging out with some friends, and much more. Truth behind illusion. Are you into ghosts, monsters, conspiracy theories, and more? Then this show will be for you. Tornado Tag Podcast. Pro wrestling stories, news, and show reviews. We love supporting indie wrestling, so come check us out. Not Cool in High School Podcast. A pop culture show where we cover movies, television, comic books, and video games. A weekly topic. So come hang out with us. We would love to hear from you. Follow us on all social media, and we'll see you soon.
Whammo.
So with the move to episodes every 2 weeks, and with just having it in my head that, Valentine's Day, we're doing the Lipstick Killer, we didn't really do a Black History Month episode in February. But we're not going to fall in that trap of only covering cases with black people in the as a central figure just in February. And also, this is Women's History Month. March is Women's History Month, so this kind of fits into that. And I think, spoiler tease, what we're going to do for Murder Oh Dude, the St. Patrick's Day episode, is going to kind of fit into the whole Women's History Month motif. So
Okay.
You have that to look forward to. And so with that, as I teased before the commercial break, we are going to talk a bit today about the only woman in the history of the state of Georgia to ever be executed by the electric chair, and that's Lena Baker. So let's take a closer look at Georgia in the 1940s, because that's where our story is going to take place. This is pre-civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr. is in high school. Poll taxes and voter suppression over generations of post-Reconstruction life has led to less than 20,000 black men and women, less than 3% of the eligible population in Georgia, being registered to vote. Women at this point have only been allowed to vote for about 25 years. It's the mid-1940s. A decade later, in the mid-1950s, the majority of the state's flag, like if you just look at the area of the state's flag, is going to be the Confederate stars and bars. So at this point, sharecropping is very, very, very commonplace in Georgia, and has been since the early since the end of slavery, since the post-Civil War time. In the early 1900s, in 1910 to be exact, over 100,000 Georgia farms were maintained by black sharecroppers at this time, and Lena Baker was born in the system on March 5th, 1900. So this would have been her birthday, or actually, the day after this show comes out would be her 121st birthday.
Happy birthday.
And the Baker family lived in what used to be a slave cabin and worked as sharecroppers on a cotton farm owned by a man named J.A. Cox in the tiny town of Cotton Hill, Georgia, just outside the larger town of... What's that word there?
I can't say it.
Cuthbert.
Okay. So there was an actress named Alicia Cuthbert.
Cuthbert, yeah, that's it.
And Cuthbert is Cuthbert. But I always said that Cuthbert, it always bothered me.
It does.
Because it sounds like you're saying Cuthbert,
With a lisp.
With a lisp. Like Cuthbert. Yeah. So saying Cuthbert just, it sounds wrong to me.
It's despicable.
It's despicable. It's inconceivable.
What's inconceivable?
Cuthbert.
Cuthbert is inconceivable.
It's neither here nor there.
It's there.
Where?
There.
In Cuthbert.
It's in Cuthbert.
Suffering succotash.
Largely seen as an attractive young woman, Lena Baker and a friend soon discovered, as they were young adults, that the quickest way for them to make money in the roaring 20s was through the oldest profession, prostitution. And their clientele was largely white. Lena's goal was to save up enough money to move north. Independent of prostitution laws, interracial relationships themselves, just in and of itself, were illegal in Georgia at the time, though it was usually the black person in the couple facing prosecution while the white person was merely just ostracized. And Lena and her friend were caught doing what they were doing, and they were convicted of, quote, running a lewd house, and they were sentenced to 10 months of hard labor on a state-owned farm. After serving her time, Lena found herself ostracized by many in the black community in Cuthbert as well, and she turned to alcohol to self-medicate and drown her sorrows, which led to a lifelong battle with alcoholism. Over the next few decades, Lena would wind up having 3 children and supported them and her aging mother, largely through working as a maid. When Lena was younger, they moved out of the little town and they moved into Cuthbert, and Lena lived in that house for the rest of her life. And eventually she started working for a grist mill owner named Ernest Knight. And I learned something. This is a little tease of something from Pedantic. I've always heard of grist mill, but I never knew what it was. Do you know what a grist mill is?
I've never heard of it.
A grist mill is a mill where they would take wheat and basically turn it into flour. They would like grind it up into flour. It's called a grist mill. And Ernest Knight was disliked throughout Cuthbert. He was a very unpopular man, no stranger to the bottle himself. He had a reputation for being miserable and violent. And so it wasn't really surprising that when he had broken his leg in a fall, he didn't really have any friends or family to fall back on. His children were grown at this time. He was in his, I believe, mid-60s. So he hired Lena. Lena Baker became his live-in maid, basically almost like a nanny. She described it as nursing him like she would a baby. That's how Lena Baker described their relationship. I don't mean if she meant literally. I mean maybe, because eventually the relationship between Knight and Baker wound up becoming something a little bit more than employer-employee. The two began to have a romantic relationship, which not only was that taboo, remember, this is Georgia in the 1940s, and an interracial relationship was illegal. Ernest Knight was a white man. I should have mentioned that a little more clearly. And not many people like this. This is the Jim Crow South, and there's no surprise at all that there's a backlash to this new couple.
But they're not racist. They were
pretty racist.
They're not. They tell me they're not all the time.
Well, these people in the 1940s were quite racist.
No, but so are the people today that said that they're not racist.
Yes.
You know, hey, if you have a fucking rebel flag or a Dixie flag, whatever you want to call it, you're racist. That's it.
And one of the people who was most unhappy about this relationship was Knight's oldest son, who was an adult at this time. And after constant urging from his oldest son, Ernest Knight moved from Cuthbert to Tallahassee, Florida, which they hoped Knight's family hoped would help drive Ernest and Lena apart. However, Lena moved to Tallahassee as well. She came with him. And that's when Ernest Knight's son intimidated Lena into leaving Florida. At one point, I don't know if it was at this point or another point, Ernest Knight's oldest son beat Lena to try to get her to stay away from his dad. But when she left Florida, Ernest left with her. And they both came back to Cuthbert.
It's true love, man.
It's not.
Oh.
It really was. And this isn't to say that Lena and Ernest were some sort of magical star-crossed lovers doomed by the time they lived in. By the end of the relationship, Lena was with Ernest just as much for regular access to alcohol as she was for companionship or romance. He had first of all, that she got her money from him. He was her boss. And then also he was giving her booze for sex, basically. And like many relationships in the 1940s, there was an element of domestic violence involved. As I was saying earlier, Ernest's son, his oldest son, beat Lena at least at one point, and Ernest was free with the hands as well. And their topsy-turvy relationship came to an end in late April 1944, given the events of that evening and the night before it, April 30th and April 29th are the 2 dates we're talking about here, the only account we have from someone directly involved is coming from Lena Baker herself. By Lena's account, a drunken Ernest Knight came to the Baker home on the evening of April 29th, asking Lena to come to the grist mill, which was often a place they would go for their romantic trysts, and in more trying times, a place where Lena said she was held against her will for days at a time, where he would just keep her there, and if he wanted sex, he would come have his way with her. And then after a few days, he would let her go. Lena didn't want to go this time, and she was reportedly tiring of her relationship with Knight, but she knew that a black woman couldn't really refuse a white man in this place and time, because basically, there's that caste system. A white man is always going to have their story believed over a black woman. Lena instead told Knight that she needed to buy some whiskey and convinced him to give her some money to go to the liquor store and do so. The liquor store was closed, and Lena tried to wait out Ernest, but when she came back to her house, she still saw him by her home, and so she sneaked out of town, like right outside of the outskirts of Cuthbert. There was a prison camp, one of those labor camps she was in when she got convicted of prostitution, which at this point was about 25 years in the past. At this point, Lena's in her mid-40s. And so she spent the night in the prison camp to try to avoid Ernest, and when she came into town the next day, he was waiting for her still. And he brought her to the grist mill. He locked her in a mill house on the property. I guess it had one of those doors where it's almost like in the movies, you know, where like you would put somebody in a closet and they would put the broom through the handles of the door?
Sure.
He did this, but with an iron bar. And that's how he kept her in the room. And it was springtime, but it's Georgia. So late April in Georgia, it's getting hot. So she's locked in this hot room, trapped all alone for hours because Ernest is out of the church service. And there's alcohol stashed in the room, so Lena's getting drunk and she's getting angry and she's hot, like, and just not happy at all. And she makes a decision that enough is enough, and she's going to cut ties with Ernest when he comes back. And when she tells him as much after he comes to that grist mill and he comes to the mill house to have what he wants to have, she makes it clear that it's not happening and she's leaving and she doesn't want anything to do with him. She doesn't want to work for him. She doesn't want to be with him, nothing like that. And he makes it clear that he has no intentions of letting her leave the grist mill alive. One of the things Ernest was known for was openly carrying a gun on his person at all times, and according to Lena Baker's story, there was a little bit of a scuffle. Ernest had the pipe that he had locked the door with, but she tried to struggle with him, she tried to fight back, and there was a struggle over the gun, and during the struggle, the gun went off, shooting Ernest in the head and killing him instantly. That night, Lena went to the home of J.A. Cox, the man whose farm her family had sharecropped on when she was a child, who was now Cuthbert's town coroner as well, and she told Cox about the shooting. Cox told Lena to go tell the sheriff. He was like, no, tell the sheriff what happened. But she went home instead. And the sheriff came to her the next morning. You gotta remember she was quite drunk at this time, too. And the sheriff actually gave Lena 2 days to sober up before she was taken in for questioning. Eventually, Lena Baker was arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder, a charge that would be deemed ridiculous by today's standards, because even if she didn't kill Ernest in self-defense, she said it was self-defense, they were fighting over the gun that went off, even if it was just like, she pops in and she's like, fuck this guy, I'm going to shoot him, that's not premeditated murder.
Right.
It's heat of passion. And the worst you could say is manslaughter. The trial itself was presided over by Judge Charles William Worrell, who was known as Two Gun Worrell because he always had two pistols on the judge's bench when he was in his courtroom. A lot of guns in Georgia. A lot of guns in Georgia now. So Two Gun
racist guns. Not much has changed.
It's a blue state now. That's good.
Not much has changed.
Not much has changed. So Two Gun is a judge here, and they always say you're judged by a trial of your peers. Lena's jury was 12 white men, and the trial itself wasn't much of a trial.
What does race have to do? We're trying to do better with this. Why do we have to bring race into it?
Well, we're trying to do better than this story. This story is one of the things we're trying to do better than. The trial lasted about 4 hours. The transcript of the trial is about 10 pages long. Literally, the notes for the show are longer than the trial notes for this trial. And all it took for those 12 jurors to deliberate was less than half an hour. So they basically, it was like you're trying to get out of jury duty at this point. It took them less than half an hour to find Lena Baker guilty of capital murder, first-degree murder. According to Baker's testimony, she didn't know if she or Knight was the one that actually pulled the triggers. It all happened very quickly. But they said she did it willingly and premeditatedly, and Lena Baker was sentenced to death. And a death sentence in 1940s Georgia was far different than what it would be now. And where now it's whenever somebody's sentenced to death, it's a decade or more of appeals and stuff like that. Think back to last week, to William Harrons. And did I say it right this time? I believe I did.
Last episode.
Yeah, last episode. I think I did get it right, Harrons.
Yeah.
So
it's been a while. I forget which one the correct.
Because I think it said Aaron's and or Hirons. No, it's Hirons.
You did get
God
it wrong.
damn it!
Got it wrong again.
Much like the William Hirons case we mentioned in the last episode, the wheels of justice moved much quicker and less fairly back then.
They go round and round,
like the wheels on the bus, all through the town. But I mean, justice isn't fair now. But this is ridiculous even compared to like now. Arguing that, quote, the verdict was contrary to the evidence and without evidence to support it, and that the verdict was contrary to law and the principles of justice and equity, Lena's court-appointed lawyer filed an appeal, but then resigned without warning. Since we're talking about the South, I should say lawyer, because they always say lawyer down there. Lawyer. I'm a small-town pizza lawyer.
Law. Yeah, they put the law in there.
Lawyer, yeah.
Lawyer.
And Georgia Governor Ellis Gibbs Arnold granted Lena a 60-day reprieve, but her lawyer resigned. The Board of Pardons ultimately refused to commute her sentence down from death to either life or a shorter sentence. And on February 23rd, 1945, Lena Baker was moved to Reidsville State Prison, which had the reputation of being one of the toughest and most inhospitable prisons, not just in Georgia, but in the entire country at the time.
Yeah, she was like the only female.
Yeah, she was housed she was housed with other prisoners in the all-men's prison until the final days leading up to her execution, where she was moved into a solitary chamber near Old Sparky, the electric chair that would be used to execute her on March 5th, 1945, just after delivering her last words. And her last words were, "What I done, I did in self-defense, or I would have been killed myself. Where I was, I could not overcome it.
God has forgiven me. I have nothing against anyone.
I picked cotton for Mr. Pritchett, and he has been good to me. I couldn't find out who Mr. Pritchett was. I think he might have been like maybe the executioner or somebody. I don't know. I'm ready to go. I am one in the number. I am ready to meet my God. I have a very strong conscience."
Ooh.
And as we said at the very, very top of this episode, Lena Baker was the only woman to ever be executed in the electric chair in Georgia history. She was then buried in an unmarked grave at her church, Mount Vernon Baptist, although the congregation there did raise money to buy a headstone for her in the late 90s. It was an unmarked grave for over 50 years.
Right. Real quick. Yeah, I do have she was the only woman in Reidsville during that time. The other were 255 men that were executed.
Oh, it was all like death row? Oh, wow. Or like the only woman executed at Reidsville?
She was the only woman to be executed in Reidsville during that time period.
Yeah, because usually, typically, and maybe this wasn't the case back then, you only used one method of execution. Like right now, in the states that do executions, I think they pretty much all do lethal injection now. But it used to be different states had different things. Like I know for a long time, Pennsylvania used the electric chair, and then they moved to lethal injection. And if you go back to the 60s, like California used the gas chamber.
Yeah, I think that there were only 2 women executed in Georgia. It was Lena and a woman by the name of Kelly Gissendaner.
Huh.
I think it was Kelly Gissendaner.
But that story,
that was in 2015.
That story, it made me think of that show Oz on HBO.
Yeah,
and I loved Oz, and they had an thing where they brought back the death penalty, because I think New Jersey may have done that around that time, and Oz was supposed to be set in New Jersey, and they had a episode because Oswald State Penitentiary was the actual name of the prison in the show, and it was a men's prison, but they did have a thing where they brought in a female inmate to be on death row, Shirley Bellinger, and she was played by the female lead from the Mighty Ducks 2. I forget her name. But yeah, like they had a thing where it was like there was this one woman in the prison and she wound up getting pregnant. And it was like a whole big thing. But like, that's another aside. Once they put a headstone on Lena Baker's grave, her family, her descendants, her grandkids, nieces, nephews, things like that, great nieces, great nephews, they would gather at her grave on March 5th, and they would also gather at her grave on Mother's Day. And shortly after that, the Lena Baker story, a biography by college professor Leila Bond Phillips, was released. And then, as you're getting into the 2000s, I think that was released in 2001, Roosevelt Curry, Lena's grandnephew, kind of got together with a group called the Prison and Bail Project. It's a group out of Georgia that kind of fights for prisoners' rights. This is a big thing that's going on in Pennsylvania right now. Our Lieutenant Governor, John Fetterman, he is like looking at these cases where people were not even like the people that pulled the trigger, like people who were like accessories to murder. Like I think one of them, it was like they were running away from somebody and one of the people shot the person that was like going after them, and because they didn't like turn on the person, they got sentenced to life in prison. I think the person who did the shooting got out, but they're still in jail. So a lot of these people that were like convicted on second-degree murder charges and given life sentences, he's fighting for like clemency for them and new trials and parole and things like that. But that's something that the Prison and Bail Project is doing in Georgia, and the state's parole board, at the urging of this group and at the urging of Roosevelt Curry, gave Lena Baker a posthumous pardon in 2005, which was the 5th such pardon given out by the state of Georgia. In 2008, actor-director Ralph Wilcox adapted the Lena Baker story into a feature film with the same name. Tashina Arnold, who is best known as Pam on Martin, and she was also Rochelle, the mom.
I loved Pam.
Yeah, and she was Rochelle, the mom on Everybody Hates Chris. She played Lena Baker.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I should watch it. I loved Pam.
And
she was great.
Veteran actor and narrator Peter Coyote played Ernest Knight. They were the two stars of the movie.
Okay.
And
I'm not familiar with him.
And he's done a lot of like voiceover work. And in January 2011, and that was around the time that they did a formal dedication of Lena's grave, Georgia Congressman Sanford Bishop paid tribute to Lena on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. And he had this included in his statement. "It is my hope that the dedication of her tombstone today can heal the wounds of the past. May Lena Baker now truly rest in peace." So yeah, and that's the story of kind of what it was like to... was she a perfect person? No. She had problems with alcoholism. She had problems with prostitution, but it was one of those things where she did fight back. She did try to get out of that bad relationship, and she wound up getting executed for it, which is horrible.
Yeah, it really is. I want to check that movie out now.
Yeah,
just because I really like the lady that played Pam. And I mean, it's interesting too, just to know that that's the first, the only black woman to be executed.
The only woman to be executed by electric chair, I believe. The other person I think was not electric chair.
Okay, well, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, still,
not that makes a whole big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that there was I was just reading about, there was a late, I think her name was Alice Riley, Ryley. I've never seen it spelled that way, by the way. She was an Irish woman in the 1700s, and it was called Colonial Georgia, which is present day Savannah. So this is before Georgia was a state.
Yeah, they might be talking about just like the state of Georgia after like
it was before it was a state.
Yeah.
And this lady Alice Riley was an Irish, woman. She was executed there.
Well, I don't think when was this?
1700s.
Yeah. The other women have been executed in Georgia, but yeah, in the 1700s they weren't using the electric chair.
No, there's only been two apparently that I read that were actually executed.
Oh wow!
Did you see more?
I wasn't really looking too hard for other ones, but I know everything says that she was the only one that. I mean, not that it matters what you electrocuted
from what this article that I was reading. Let me see. Let me get to it real quick. It says this is from 11alive.com. It says these are the two women Georgia has executed so far.
Oh.
And the only two people are Lena Baker, 1945, and Kelly Gissendaner, in 2015. Now it says that there's and Alice Riley was 1735 colonial times. So this is before it was Georgia.
Yeah.
So that's why they're not counting that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a woman named Tiffany Moss who has been sentenced to death.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been executed yet. There's like, I think this is like 50 people on death row. So
wow. So I mean, yeah, I mean, and the execution method doesn't. I'm gonna imagine the one from the 1700s was probably hanged. The one from 2015 was probably
500 legal state hangings happened from 1725 to 1925.
But when you're talking about methods of execution, if there's only a way to quantify them and to make some sort of decision on how bad the method was, if you could play a game like that, I wonder what it would be called.
It's probably let's
this
buckets.
This.
It's time for another game of Who Died the Worst.
That's right, everybody. It's time to play Who Died the Worst. It's not Who Died the Funniest. It's not Who Died the First. The name of the game is Who Died the Worst. I, BP Burke, am going to give you, Jackson Wells,
that's me,
3 deaths. Actually, there's way more than 3 in this one, but there's like a group death here. You're going to tell me which of these 3 died the worst. And to use a phrase that's being passed around a lot in slang, this is the fuck around and find out edition of Who Died the Worst. They all kind of deserved it in this one. Death number 1 is a woman in Brazil named Priscilla Verissimo. She was a nurse. She was a nurse in Brazil, and not only a nurse, but she was a COVID-19 survivor. During the pandemic last year, she contracted COVID-19 and survived, and she was a big fan of Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, or Bolsonaro, I believe is how you say his name. And he is very much like the Brazilian Trump. He was like, COVID's not real. He didn't really do a lot to stop it, or he was basically like, it's one of those people who just kind of very much downplayed COVID-19. He's like a far right-wing type guy. And she was a big fan of his. And this nurse, Priscilla Verissimo, like many medical professionals in Brazil and the United States, around the world, they're first in line to receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay.
And hopefully we all will be in that line soon. I know here in the U.S., they just said that they're hoping by the end of May.
Listen, they've rushed it. They rushed it, man. Okay, we don't know what's in this thing. Like, somebody had an adverse reaction. I read on the internet that it did something bad to somebody, so we shouldn't be sending this out there, okay? Somebody got sick from it. Somebody died.
Yeah, everybody refused it so I can get more. I want to take 2 vaccines just to be safe.
No, you don't want to take any because somebody got hurt from it. Somebody died in 2. So
okay. Well, this person died as well. And
never mind the 500,000 people that died from fucking COVID.
Yeah.
And the other people that have had other, adverse reactions. Let's worry about these 2 fucking people over here from the vaccine with what's the efficacy rate?
Well, most of the 2 ones they already have now are like 95%, and the new one, the Johnson & Johnson one, I think is like 75%.
Wow,
65%.
I think it was 60 something. But
even with that one, like when they did the big test group for that, where it was like 20,000 people got the vaccine and then 20,000 people got the control group placebo.
Right.
The 20,000 people that got the vaccine, yes, some of them got COVID because it's only like whatever 65-70% effective, but of those 20,000, of the people within that 20,000 that got COVID, none of them, not one, got sick enough where they had to go to the hospital, and none of them, of course, died.
Hey, people, get the fucking vaccine and stop being dickheads.
I want it so bad, and I can't find any place it has it.
Yeah. Walmart.
No. Yeah, not around here. The Walmart here doesn't have it. I looked. I checked.
I meant like you could buy it there.
I wish.
Yeah.
But
imagine you could just buy it in the fucking aisles. Like,
what am I gonna do? Inject myself with it?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
That's true. Don't you have to? Does it work like insulin or something? Because I know, do you have to like inject it in like a certain vein, or don't you need kind of training for vaccines? I know like certain things.
Listen, are you not a trained fucking phlebotomist?
No.
then get with it, son.
Oh, like I've given my dog insulin. That's about all I've done with needles.
No, when you get just when you get any shot, it's a shot in your arm.
Yeah, I just got a flu shot like
like
6 months ago.
Yeah, it's no, I don't even know if it was it that long.
It was the end of October. Yeah,
was it really?
Yeah, I got it late.
Oh, wow.
I should have gotten it earlier than that.
No, you're fine. You didn't get sick.
Yeah,
I didn't get sick.
Yeah, they said the flu was like almost non-existent this year.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah,
fucking nuts.
So this has nothing to do with Priscilla Verissimo, who was offered. She worked at Shama Hospital.
Okay.
She was offered the coronavirus vaccine, but did not take it. She refused to be vaccinated because she thought she wouldn't get COVID again. She already had it once. And that the vaccine, which was made in China, the one they're using in Brazil is a Chinese vaccine. It's not the Moderna or the Pfizer ones that we have here. She didn't think it was efficiently tested or proven to work.
Right.
And because she did not take the vaccine, the hospital she worked for fired her.
Good.
And that's not all. Mm-hmm. She caught COVID-19 and died.
Oh, okay.
So that's death number one.
Guess who's not winning this week?
Well, just hang on.
Okay.
No, she's probably not going to win. But yeah, death number one.
No. I don't give a fuck if the next one was they died from. I don't even know.
Well, let's find out. So death number one is you're a nurse, you refuse the vaccine, and you get COVID and die. Good. Probably not winning.
I mean, wrong.
Probably not winning. Death number two takes us to a place you're going back to.
Uh-huh.
You're going back to Missoula, Montana.
I don't get that reference.
It's a Twin Peaks reference.
I didn't watch Twin Peaks.
Well, this is in Missoula, Montana, and
Did you watch Twin Peaks?
Yes.
What?
I watched most of it.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Did you like it?
Yes. It's very weird, but it was good.
Okay.
And this story, this is a very Montana story. Are you familiar with what a ghillie suit is?
Of course I know what a ghillie suit is.
A ghillie suit, if you're not familiar, is a suit that's covered with a bunch of like
brush
leaves, to make it basically look like you're blending in with like a pile of brush. Yeah. And there's certain kinds of camo. Some are green.
Don't you remember when we played SOCOM? You can get ghillie suits.
Yeah. There's certain ones that are green. Certain ones are like brownish.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I said, like the brown ones, you kind of look like Chewbacca when you're wearing them.
Right. Yeah.
So a man in Missoula, Montana, was wearing a ghillie suit because he was trying to do a fake Sasquatch sighting. He was trying to pretend to be Bigfoot. And so he put on his ghillie suit.
Oh, boy.
And he went along U.S. Highway 93 near Kalispell, Montana.
Okay.
And he was quickly struck by two cars in rapid succession.
Okay.
Because he was in a fucking ghillie suit on the highway.
Okay.
Trying to be Bigfoot.
Right.
And I guess they had trouble seeing him because he might have blended in with the mountain or dirt.
Can we change the name of this? Who's the biggest fucking idiot?
This week, this is what I told you. This week is about people who kind of brought it on themselves.
It's usually about people that brought it on themselves. How many have we had that weren't about people that brought it on themselves? Honestly,
like there have been ones where like people are like people who were like laying in their bed in like a
fucking airplane,
like Donnie Darko.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's only been a handful where.
Here's the thing: you might not be wise to who died the worst after 102 episodes. It really kind of is about who died the funniest. Like that is part of it. Like that's not how you're judging them, but as far as like picking the stories, it's about who died the funniest.
Who deserved the worst?
Who deserved the death the least is kind of sometimes how it's played. Death number three. Yeah,
we should just change it to who deserved the worst, and then that way number one wins.
No, it's still who died the worst. But you can use whatever criteria you like. This is a dictatorship. You kind of, or else 2 weeks ago,
if it's a dictatorship, I'm changing the name of the fucking game.
No, it's not a full dictatorship.
Okay.
Or else, if it wasn't up to you who wins,
I like
Jean-Baptiste Lully would have been like a 5-time champion by now.
That this show gets all kinds of fucking Ralph Garman segments and shit, and games and fucking fun and prizes and glitter. And,
prizes?
Yeah, I heard.
We have prizes?
Yeah. But over on Pedantic, I was like, hey, we should probably do like a game or something. You go, no,
I like games. We can do a game
you're
on
like
Pedantic.
no, we just have the name and that's it.
We should do a game on Pedantic. I like that.
You're like, no, let's just do Pedantic.
I think we do have a segment on Pedantic that we're going to probably be debuting on our next episode.
Oh yeah,
where we fact check ourselves and go over what we got wrong in the last episode.
You're right. Yeah, yeah. They're not going to give that away now.
I have at least 2 things we got wrong in the last episode.
Okay. Is one about you not fucking eating beef pot pie?
No, that was on this show.
Oh.
That was on Murder, My Dude. Somehow we talked about beef pot pie. Oh, it's because they ate hearts and potatoes.
Yeah. Sounds delicious. You have any hearts potatoes?
Fresh out. Death number 3. There's at least 30 deaths in this one.
Okay.
And this one is going to take us to the village of Katak.
Probably saying that right.
And the Daladabad district.
Probably saying that right too.
Of the Balkh province of Afghanistan. And in Afghanistan, they're not in power anymore, but the Taliban is still around.
Yeah.
They're still a thing. And at least 30 Taliban militants died after they blew themselves up during a bomb-making class. They were learning how to make IEDs when one of the IEDs they were building in a mosque exploded, killing all 30 people in the class.
Okay.
So death number 3 is that. Death number 1, just to refresh, is the Brazilian nurse, the right-wing Brazilian nurse who refused the COVID vaccine and then got fired and died of COVID.
Yeah.
Death number 2 is the guy who put on a ghillie suit and walked across the highway in Montana and got hit by a car when he was pretending to be Bigfoot. Death number 3, 30 Taliban bomb-making students.
Were you saying Taliban?
Taliban. Yeah, the Taliban is death number 3.
Wrestler, Taliban.
I ask you, Jackson Wells, who died the worst?
2, of course.
Yeah,
of course is number 2. Because look, so the first lady, idiot, fucking idiot.
Is she the first lady of who died the worst?
No, she.
We need a first lady.
She deserves. No, we don't.
We already have a patron.
No, we don't. No. We're in 2021. We don't do that. We don't do the whole gender thing. It doesn't matter. Doesn't need to be first man or woman. Okay. We're existential beings. We just we don't.
I am definitely not an existential being.
Oh.
I am a stenchal being.
She's an idiot. Fuck her. Number 3, good. Glad they're dead. Number 2, fucking just an idiot, but he died the worst. So there you go. That's the game, and I'm sticking to it.
That's the game, and he's sticking to it.
Yeah.
And we are sticking to a time schedule here, and we are just about done for this episode 102. I don't know what we're going to call this one, though.
Lena.
Georgia, my dude? Lena, my dude?
Yeah. Lena, my dude.
Okay, yeah, Lena, my dude. All right.
Rest in peace, Lena.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. You didn't deserve that shit.
No, she did
Sorry
not.
for those cracker ass honkies.
Me too. And the money to follow them.
Yeah.
So
we're not all like that, Lena.
Yeah. So that'll do it for this week. Like I said, a very, very special episode. One of my personal favorite episodes of the year is going to be next week's Murder O Dude.
Next
episode.
Yeah,
next time.
We got to get used to saying that.
Next time. Next episode will be Murder O Dude. Next week will be Pedantic.
Yeah.
From soup to nuts to Pizza Huts will be our episode.
Maybe we'll change it.
I like that though.
Look, that goes against what we said it was going to be. So no.
Okay.
I'm vetoing that. You said that we should do where we start off, but where it ends, nobody knows.
Okay.
We can't end in Pizza Huts if we already fucking know that it's ending in Pizza Huts. So
from soup to nuts to who the hell knows?
To who the hell knows, but it's always going to be a question mark until the end of the episode.
Okay.
And then that's when we will name it. But until then,
we're going to be finishing up here, and then after that, we will see you next time with more murder.
My dude.
With all apologies to Ms. Baker, we're not calling it Lena, my dude. It's gotta be Cuthbert, my dude.
No, please no.
Why don't you want it to be Cuthbert, my dude?
I hate you.
What don't you like about Cuthbert?
This is so silly.